Hey guys, this is Curtis Alexander. In this video, let's talk about fruit. And fruit's important because I've explained some of my journey from keto, low carb, carnivore to the way now because I was having some serious issues primarily caused by eating that way. And I've recommended in previous videos that a great way to start reintroducing carbs is fruit. So I want to explain a little bit of my journey, why I chose fruit, why you should not be scared of fruit, and just go into some of those things so you understand this more. So first of all, if you're doing extremely low carb and you're not doing that well on it, right off the bat, fruit, it tastes great. There's so many people that have been brainwashed now that fruit's going to give them diabetes, despite the fact it tastes great, it's natural, but they're still scared of it. Next thing, they're loaded with micronutrients. A lot of people don't give enough credit to how important micronutrients are to their overall health. And an example in fruit, it's loaded with a lot of potassium in many cases. And so what you can see is you're going to have better cell hydration. You will see improved hormone secretion, which is critical. The amount of glucose that you convert to glycogen will improve. Your thyroid's going to improve. This was huge for me. And your blood sugar regulation will actually improve. And I'll explain a little bit in a second here why that's the case. Next, we have with water and fiber. I drink very little water by itself now. I get plenty from fruit. I also get some in my coffee, those sorts of things. Another thing, loaded with minerals, fiber, polyphenols. And what that helps you do, you're going to mobilize and use glucose better. And glucose is extremely important, particularly if you were like me and had thyroid issues. Next, fruit, of course, has fructose in it, which helps you get glucose into the cells. Okay, very important. We see increased oxidation of glucose. People will use the derogatory term, you don't want to be a sugar burner. It's how your body wants to utilize fuel. Its preferred fuel source is glucose. Obviously, if you're going low carb, you're not giving it that readily available source of glucose, so it's going to make it from your fat and your protein. And that's a stress-based mechanism. I have other videos about this, not the greatest thing to be doing. And then a real misunderstanding here. A lot of them have very low glycemic load. They're very filling. Okay. Now I want to talk about some other things here. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you'll get diabetes from eating fruit, which has not been proven. It's not the case. A lot of people have a misunderstanding of how your body handles it. There is evidence that yes, fruit can increase insulin, but there is no evidence that it can cause insulin resistance or any sort of weight gain. I'll get in a bit here, a little bit about what's going on. Okay, so let's talk about the blood sugar effects of this. All right, so we know, let's just use watermelon as an example. And I'm choosing it on purpose because it does have a high glycemic index. So a glycemic index of table sugar is 65. So most people's minds, they're like, that's pure sugar, that's high. Well, they look at watermelon and go, oh my gosh, glycemic index is 72, it's worse than table sugar. And that's bantered around a lot, that it's worse than table sugar, but people are only giving you part of that picture. Here's what else we see with watermelon. Its glycemic load is only 5. Just to put that in perspective, from your carbohydrates, you can go with something starchier like a baked potato, and it has a glycemic load of 33, so much higher. So the moral of the story is the glycemic index can be high, but the actual glycemic load that you're getting from watermelon is extremely low. And here's something else to keep in mind. The satiety index, which is how full you get from certain foods, is extremely high with watermelon. You get very full for very few calories. For example, 250 calories worth of watermelon is 2.5 pounds of watermelon. That's a massive amount of watermelon. To get 250 calories from butter wouldn't take much at all from your fats because they're 9 calories per gram. So we have to look at the entire picture. You can't just look at fruit and go, has a high glycemic index, it's bad. What about its glycemic load? How full it keeps you, the micronutrients, all these things I've mentioned. fruit is probably one of the healthiest foods you can eat from an overall perspective. Not only that, you're designed to eat it. I mean, it grows naturally. You can go out, grab an apple, strawberries, berries, whatever it is, it's a natural food. So it really doesn't make any sense to try to vilify it, particularly with bad science. The other thing, and this is important to note, it's something called the post-meal glycemic response. And that means, how do people respond? How do their blood sugars do after they eat a meal? And people respond very differently to starchy carbs than they do simple carbohydrates like fruit. In fact, fructose is the only thing that doesn't cause an increase in that post-meal glycemic response. So it's very favorable for people with blood sugar issues. That's one of the great things about it. All in all, you want to, if you're struggling with low carb, don't be afraid of fruit. Introduce it slowly. I'm not saying throw it in there, but if you have thyroid problems, metabolism problems, fruit is one of the best things you can do. The science bears that out. The nutrients that are contained in fruit bear that out. Just be careful about the stuff you listen to about fruit, because most of it is just not true. The other big thing, you want to focus on eliminating as much as you can inflammatory foods and seed oils, along with the reintroduction of fruit. So again, this was more based on my story, what I did, how I'm feeling better, recovering from the thyroid problems, so on and so forth. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments, guys, if this made sense, what other topics you'd like to see me talk about. So I appreciate it. See you in the next one.